Tupac Shakur was declared dead, but death in his story never brought closure, because after the world accepted the headline, something else began to surface. Not proof, not answers, but sightings, whispers from places no one expected, stories told quietly, then denied. People who spoke once and never spoke again. In the months following Tupac's death, reports started appearing from unexpected locations, gas stations, small towns, foreign countries. A man who looked like Tupac, moved like him, spoke like him, but always disappeared before questions could be asked. At first, these stories were laughed off. Grief does strange things to fans. Legends create illusions. But then something changed. Some of these sightings came from people who didn't want attention: truck drivers, former military personnel, hotel staff, people with nothing to gain. One witness claimed to see Tupac in a cafe overseas, not hiding, not running, calm, older, thinner, but unmistakably him. Another reported seeing him near a private airstrip. No entourage, no jewelry, no cameras, just silence. And silence in Tupac's world was never accidental. What made these stories unsettling wasn't just the resemblance. It was the consistency. The same scars, the same posture, the same intense eye contact, and always the same ending. He noticed me looking, and then he was gone. Around the same time, a pattern began to emerge. People connected to Tupac's final days started changing their stories. Some retracted statements. Some refused interviews entirely. Others disappeared from public life. One key witness moved out of state. Another suddenly claimed memory loss. A third died under unrelated circumstances. The investigation didn't evolve. It dissolved. Files were sealed. Leads were dropped. Questions were labeled conspiracy. And the silence became official. But Tupac's lyrics refused to stay quiet. Fans revisited his words with new eyes, not as poetry, but as preparation. Lines about leaving before the trap closes, about watching enemies celebrate too early, about the fake ending. And then there were the interviews. Old footage resurfaced. Tupac talking about disappearing, about starting over, about death being the cleanest exit. He laughed while saying it, not nervously, not defensively, confidently, as if he knew something no one else did. And then there was the money. Millions unaccounted for. Royalties rerouted. Assets moved quietly before his death. Lawyers refused to comment. Accountants cited confidentiality. But the timing raised questions. Why prepare financially for a future you won't be part of, unless you planned to be? Some believed Tupac had help, not from criminals, but from professionals. People who knew how to erase identities, how to create new lives, how to make someone vanish without a trace. Others believed something darker, that Tupac was allowed to disappear because killing him outright would have created a martyr too powerful to control. Either way, the result was the same. The world was left with a body and 1,000 doubts. And the deeper people looked, the more dangerous the questions became. Journalists who pursued the case too aggressively lost funding. Documentaries were canceled. Interviews were blocked. It wasn't just neglect. It felt like resistance. As if someone didn't want this story reopened. Because Tupac wasn't just a rapper who died. He was a symbol that refused to stay buried. Every year his influence grew. His relevance expanded. New generations found him. And the more time passed, the less his death made sense. No closure, no justice, no final truth. Only fragments, and fragments are dangerous. because they invite imagination, and imagination leads to belief, and belief leads to one final unsettling thought. What if Tupac didn't want to be found? What if disappearing was the only way to survive a world that wanted his voice, but not his truth? In the next episode, we will examine the people closest to Tupac, those who stayed silent, those who hinted at more, and those who looked straight into the camera and said nothing. Because sometimes the loudest evidence is silence.